Michael, good morning.
Good morning.
Let me ask you, how has your week been going so far?
It's been, I think, for every member of Parliament, one of the most extraordinary experiences of our lives. I was at the Santa Claus Parade in Etobicoke Lakeshore, which goes down along Lakeshore Boulevard.
Right.
And
that's your riding in Toronto.
That's my riding, and I sit there in an open-top car, freezing to death, waving to 15,000 people who line the streets. And for the first time, I've done it 3 years, for the first time, I couldn't move without people shouting out comments and political suggestions and ideas. I've never seen anything like it. Canada is engaged in this in ways that are kind of inspiring, actually.
More engaged than the late election of 7 weeks ago? I
think you'd have to say that.
The events of the past 10 days, they have changed, if not the face of Canadian politics. I think certainly the way Canadians view political parties and how the government works. What has been the impact overall, generally, on the events of the last 2 weeks?
I think that it's been one of those moments when the political class, that is, people like me who are in Parliament, have felt the pressure of real anger from the public about what's going on. And I think there is a great deal of misunderstanding in Canada about how our government works. I think the simple idea that a government has to have the confidence of the House of Commons in order to govern, that we're not a majority rule country, that we base on the capacity of the Prime Minister to command confidence in the House of Commons, and that if he loses it, as the Prime Minister has done, we're in a crisis. All of this has come as a bit of a shock to Canadians, but it's how our Parliament has always worked, and we've been in situations of parliamentary difficulty for some time before, so there's nothing new about it. What is new is, I think, the ways in which the Prime Minister has taken a parliamentary crisis and turned it into a national unity crisis by pitting one section of the country against another, by raising tensions between English and French Canada, which I think are dangerous. And I think the politicians have been told by the voters, walk back down, tone it down, cool it down, listen to us, get your act together. And I think everybody in the political system, regardless of party, is now listening much more carefully to the public.
Is that what you've been doing the last few days or so? Because you have been demonstrably not front and center in all of this. You've been you've been coming out very sparsely and very sparely in what your comments.
Well, I don't. I try to measure my contributions, and I have been listening very carefully. I mean, to give you the flavor, if you're an MP, I had something like 2,000 messages a day coming into my constituency office, where the two wonderful people who work for me, tried to answer every phone call that came in, but they were coming in at kind of one a minute. Mm-hmm. So I think all MPs are receiving this volume of call, and frankly, this is what they pay us for. I welcome this. I mean, some of it's clearly organized by one political party or another group, but that's legitimate too. And we just have to take the measure of it and try and respond calmly and civilly to the range of opinions that we're receiving.
Let me talk for a moment, or ask you a couple of questions about the coalition. Pardon me. First of all, you used an interesting phrase on television. I caught one interview. You said that the coalition could be an instrument in getting the government to enact what you and your party would see as proper legislation. The instrumentality of the coalition doesn't necessarily bespeak taking power, does it? You're talking about using it in some way to get the government to do something. Was that your intent?
Yes, it was, Michael. You can think of the coalition as an end in itself, or you can think of it as a means, and it may be both. But for the moment, it's a means. That is to say, already, and Canadians need to understand this, without the coalition agreement, we would not have been able to force the Prime Minister and the Conservative government to back down on crucial issues relating, for example, we've got them to abandon this wildly partisan and absolutely unacceptable set of proposals about stopping public financing of political parties. Secondly, we've got them to back down on another crucial issue, which is the right of workers in the public sector to strike. They've abandoned that. There appears to be some course correction in relation to another crucial issue, pay equity for women. None of these items should ever have been in the Autumn Statement in the first place. They were a tendentious partisan provocation that had nothing to do with the real challenge, which was meeting the problems of our economy. And the fourth thing that the coalition's already achieved, which is that we've backed the budget up by 3 or 4 weeks. So the coalition, as a means, has already served an enormously valuable purpose in reminding Stephen Harper that he does not command the confidence of the House, and he's got to back down.
Does that mean, can I infer from that you are less enthusiastic about the coalition as an end, as a government, than the rest of your party?
It's not a matter of enthusiasm, Michael, and it's not a matter of my personal opinions, and the issue is very simply this. On the 26th of January, the government will bring forward a budget. All that Canadians are saying to us, and I think we have to listen to this, is that you cannot decide that we're going to reject the budget before we've even seen it.
Right.
And it's therefore incumbent on every member of the opposition, in my view, to look at this budget and evaluate whether it meets the needs of a Canada that is genuinely frightened of the economic crisis, frightened for their jobs, frightened for their pensions and their savings and their mortgages. And in my view, we have to be saying to Canadians, we will evaluate the budget. And if Mr. Harper doesn't come back with a stimulus package, with an attack on the productivity problems that dog our economy, if it doesn't come back with measures that address the absolutely looming crisis in the auto sector, the forestry sector, he will not have the confidence of the House and will vote him down. But you can't, it seems to me, as a responsible politician, say, we don't care what they bring to the House, we're going to reject it anyway. We have to be prepared to look at what he proposes. So the ball is in Mr. Harper's court, and he has to make some decisions.
What is the driving national purpose of the coalition? If it was purely economic, to get him to do the things that you want him to do economically, couldn't that have been handled in Parliament, by Parliament, with a series of amendments or whatever to various resolutions?
I can't speculate on what might have been. We are where we are.
Right.
The conviction of Monsieur Dion was that we had to create a coalition instrument to force this Prime Minister to see reason. And now we have to decide whether it's a means or an end in itself. My view, just so it's perfectly clear, is coalition if necessary, but not necessary a coalition. And that's a reprise, as you will know, of what Mackenzie King said about conscription during the last one of the great crises in Canadian parliamentary history, which is, conscription if necessary, but not necessarily conscription. That's my view of the coalition. If at the 27th or 8th of January, the Prime Minister comes back to us with a budget which doesn't meet the needs of Canadians, then we will have to do our duty as an opposition and vote it down. If, on the other hand, he comes back with a budget that meets the needs of Canadians, then we'll have other decisions to take. We should be prepared to take power as a coalition if it's the only way to lead Canada forward in tough times, but we should also be reasonable here. If Harper climbs down, comes back with a budget that does meet Canadians' needs, then we have to act responsibly. That's my position.
But there are those in your party who say there's an inevitability about the coalition. Nothing can stop it now.
With respect, I don't know who you're referring to, but
Bob Ray.
The essence of politics is that human beings use politics to control their destiny. I don't believe in inevitabilities. I don't believe that we're in politics to just let runaway trains run downhill. We have to exercise responsibility. That's what the people pay us for.